evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the show tonight, the BJP slams the government's fresh attempt to revive the controversial communal violence bill. Is this bill an attempt to polarize voters ahead of the general elections, as the BJP alleges, or is India in desperate need of a law to deal with communal violence? That's our big political debate tonight, on a day when the BJP said it will unequivocally oppose the communal violence bill when it comes up in Parliament, calling it a threat to communal harmony instead and an attack on India's federal structure. The opposition, led by Arun Jaitley, says that the Congress is trying to polarize voters ahead of the polls. In fact, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha wrote to the Prime Minister on the issue yesterday, saying that the new draft undermined the powers of states and had many vague definitions that were open to misinterpretation and misuse. The bill has seen many changes to it since it was first introduced in 2005, and a draft approved by Sonia Gandhi's National Advisory Council in 2011 had caused a huge political uproar, especially since it presumed that communal trouble is created only by members of the majority community. Well, my colleague spoke to the Minority Affairs Minister K. Rahman Khan. Rahul Srivastava spoke to him earlier this evening. On the government's defence of this, Mr. Khan insists that the opposition's concerns have been taken on board.
The opposition is up in arms against it. Mr. K. Rahman Khan, the Minority Affairs Minister, is with us, who has been championing the communal violence bill. Mr. Rahman Khan, Madam Jayalalitha, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, has objected to it. BJP's leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha has objected to it. Is there a new draft, and do you think what are the modifications, and are they sufficient now that the bill should be passed?
This is the objection, whether it is Madam Jayalalitha or leader of opposition, is just for the objection's sake. We need a communal violence avoidance bill. There is no two opinion about it. I mean, if anybody says I don't think that they are making politics.
The left wanted that all sections issues should be removed, and it should be largely towards communal violence, not caste violence and all kind of disturbances. It should be specifically regarding communal violence. So has that change also been made?
It is more or less is addressed. I feel that there is it is any religious and linguistic any violence. So that should cover the whole.
There is another issue that do you think that a communal violence bill, what recently happened in the district of Muzaffarnagar, the riots, do you think if there was a bill in place, the hurt of the people, the kind of injuries, the kind of perhaps the charges that there was delayed action, there was no improper action, all these issues could have been addressed?
Definitely it could have been addressed, and also the major thing is the victims' rehabilitation. That is very important. Today they are in large, you should see they are staying in camps, there is no law, there is no this thing. Now this talks about the state creating a fund and then compensation, immediate disbursement of the compensation, and compensation is defined for everything, what compensation, how they have to be rehabilitated. It's a human issue, and then it will be decided by the human rights. Now in this bill there is no separate authority. It will be looked up. It is a human issue, and the Human Rights Commission will be looking after this.
Well, Rahul Srivastava now joins us for more on the political fallout of this story. Rahul, we heard the Minority Affairs Minister there strongly defending this new draft, which ironically the BJP, which is the principal opposition party, is yet to see. What more are you expecting on this then in the next few days?
Nidhi, what the BJP is saying that they have not seen it because this draft has been sent to the stakeholders, that is the states, for consultations. In fact, today the Home Secretary held meeting with representatives of several states on this very issue. And in this meeting, what we have heard from several sources, that the government has displayed certain sense of flexibility. Though there is tremendous amount of what I call political tarka to the entire proceedings as far as the communal bill is concerned, but the government is saying, the government has proposed today, and it seemed agreeable to the fact that if there were objections to the NHRC supervising investigations, the government is saying, okay, let's just NHRC probe the incidents, not supervise the investigations. That has to be done, can be done by the state police. Also the fact that the NSRC report, for example, the state governments will be consulted. The state government will have the flexibility to eventually decide what exactly to do with the NHRC report. It will not be mandamus. There is also a fact that if they were objecting to how majority-minority issues, how one group is being targeted and the other is being made the virtual victim, somewhere the government has displayed flexibility by saying that now the entire definition is going to get expanded to religious, ethnic, caste and linguistic strife, which means that there is that entire objection can be removed. It is also that the entire onus of creating the competent authority will be on the state government. It can be the district magistrates or the commissioners, wherever there are commissionerates. There is also an issue that the entire declaration of the disturbed area largely lies with the state government. So several federal elements and challenges which have been created have been handed over to the state. There is also very importantly that how the rehabilitation will be done. The government, state governments in fact were objecting to certain terms like rehabilitation being used. The government is ready to change that also. But Nidhi, the crisis is, this is election season. Somewhere the government has made the things and delayed it so late that it is virtually the last session of this government. It's a short session. The government does want to score a certain amount of political brownie points as far as a certain vote bank is concerned, because the government made a promise. It was tabled in 2005. Now the opposition realizes that what the government is trying, and in an election season, one can't expect present-day opposition to bail out a government as far as a critical vote bank is concerned. So in the coming days, we can expect only politics as far as this communal violence bill is concerned.
All right, Rahul Srivastav, thanks very much for that update. Well, does India need a communal violence bill? Is this being done on the eve of elections to polarize voters, as the opposition alleges? Or is this something that is much more crucial and needs to be looked at dispassionately by all political parties? Joining us on the program tonight, we have the BJP's national spokesperson, Nirmala Sitharaman, here in the studio with us. From the Congress, its national spokesperson, Randeep Surjewala. Also with us tonight, senior lawyer and advocate Prashant Bhushan. Harsh Mandar, former member of the National Advisory Council, who in fact was co-convener of the working group on this bill. He joins us tonight from Patna. We also have senior Samajwadi Party leader Kamal Farooqi with us. Nirmala Sitharaman, to you first. You've just heard the 3 or 4 major points that Rahul has outlined that are changes from the previous draft, which was strongly objected to by not just the BJP but many chief ministers as well. Would you say that these are acceptable based on what you've heard till now?
This is the first time I'm hearing these inputs which Rahul has explained. But then the first response which comes to my mind is, so what is communal violence about then? If you expand it to ethnicity, religion, caste, linguistic. So the whole thing is a cut-paste job, hurriedly being made up to, bring in at the time of elections with only a couple of months to go for the Lok Sabha election. The 8 years this bill has been waiting, and then 2 years ago they brought it in. You saw the kind of uproar the nation saw from various chief ministers and so on. It's an exercise now to polarize vote. It's an exercise to continue with their vote bank politics and nothing more.
Let me take that to Randeep Surjewala, because Randeep Surjewala, that has been the biggest criticism of the Congress, that for all these years, for 8 years, the UPA hasn't really been concerned with this legislation, and now on the eve of elections, we're seeing this fresh push to bring it through. Why now?
I think to do a correct thing, there is no wrong time. Let me begin by saying that, Nidhi. And why is Bharatiya Janata Party so wary of introduction of the communal violence bill? If any stakeholder, any state, including the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is a stakeholder as a political party, have any objection, they can definitely point out those objections. As Rahul just pointed out and your story did, and I will not repeat myself, many objections that states raised have been taken care of. And it is not communal violence alone. The title of the bill is Communal and Targeted Violence. We have seen incidents like Muzaffarnagar, where a viral fake video CD from Afghanistan was uploaded by a Bharatiya Janata Party legislator to foment trouble on communal lines, leading to loss of lives and displacement
wasn't the only
of people.
communal violence.
The bill is aimed at and
but
targeted
Muzaffarnagar
at
wasn't the only
stopping
incident
all
in UP.
such violences.
But UP saw almost 100 riots in the last one and a half years. So why didn't this thought come to the Congress government's mind here at the center that the communal violence bill was needed then? Why now?
Nidhi, I am not saying, I only gave an example of Muzaffarnagar. I am saying any targeted communal violence or violence against a scheduled caste or is also included in within the ambit of the bill. And now it has been broadened to include ethnic and religious minorities or linguistic minorities. Linguistic minorities were already there. Whenever an incident takes place of a targeted violence or communal violence of this nature, it is the bounden duty of the society at large, whether center or state, to rise to the occasion and to see to it that culprits are punished and that those who are ousted or displaced are given justice and rehabilitated. Why is Bharatiya Janata Party so worried of it? If they have their intentions clear and
Well,
their
they can
intent
object
is
to it
honest and
if they
transparent,
also have a
which
draft,
I
if they have a
really
copy
doubt
of the
whether
draft
it
of the
is.
new draft, which is
I'm
part of the
very,
problem,
very
which you
impressed
don't
by
have.
the way in which only the BJP is being questioned.
Nidhi,
If you-
definitely they will get a copy of
No,
the draft.
let-
All Bharatiya Janata Party state governments are being given the draft. And the Bharatiya Janata
But if
Party
it's a
at
bill that
national
has to
level
come up in
can
Parliament,
have a
shouldn't
copy
there
of
be a
that
better
draft. It will be
consultation?
deliberated with
I
them
get Nirmala
and other
Sitharaman to
national
respond to
parties.
that. Doesn't there need to then be better consultation even at the centre? If this, I mean, this is after all a legislation that Parliament has to pass. Parliament starts in 2 days. You need to see this draft then.
No, it's not been given to us. As much as you saw the Facebook entry of the leader of the opposition, Rajya Sabha, which said very clearly they have not seen it. And it's very well to say we've sent it to the stakeholders. Are you then excluding some people in the parliament who are going to have to pass the bill as stakeholders? They are not stakeholders. The opposition party in the parliament is not a stakeholder. Anyway, that is one of the issue aside. But then if there is an amendment done and that's going to be tabled in all such hurry in this 12-day session of the parliament where so many other bills are pending, this is very clearly an attempt by the government to rush in to show that, you know, they are in favor of, you know, having to protect some section of the society at the cost of some other. If there is a genuine discussion which has to be held, that's not been enabled. And there's no point in going on telling us, oh, it's been sent to Bharatiya Janata Party ruled states. That's a different issue altogether. This is a very sensitive issue on which they've been found fault with earlier. And if you're coming back again, the National Integration Council of 2011 had such scenes, uproarious scenes on what kind of bill this is going to be, affecting the very clear domain which has been given by the constitution of the state governments. So there are not just one or two issues which we are talking about.
There are several.
There are several.
Let me ask Harsh Mandar about those issues. Then, Mr. Mandar, as somebody who was one of those who drafted this bill as part of the NAC, what do you think about the changes now that have been proposed by the government today? Do you believe that's diluted the bill or has made it stronger and something that will be more amenable to states?
No, I think that it's good that the government is trying to build a consensus. I think the changes that are being proposed now, I would have preferred some of them not happening, but I think the NHRC replacing the National Authority will reassure the states that this is not an intervention into the domain of the states, because the NHRC has a role and it will be largely an advisory and recommendatory kind of role. Also making it apply to both majority and minority. I think there was a lot of misunderstanding about a special protection law. It didn't mean that the majorities would not be protected, but even so, since that was a concern, that is fine. You know, I think that what we need to understand is what are the critical things in this law, and it hasn't come up in the discussion so far. What is critical is three things, I think, in the law, and I'd really like to very briefly explain them. The first is the idea of dereliction of duty by public officials with command responsibility. That a new crime, see, any communal violence can be controlled within a reasonable amount of time if the government decides it wants to control it. So the failure of the state to do it has so far been seen largely as a moral failure. This makes it an actual crime, and so public officials, DMs, SPs, and wherever the command has come not to act or to act in a biased way will be controlled by by this provision of dereliction of duty. The second key element in the law is the idea of protecting victims' protection. So victim rights protection in the whole legal process, a victim often faces intimidation, threats, all kinds of things. So the protection of the victim's rights in the legal process. And the third is national standards for relief and rehabilitation. That, you know, it cannot be discretionary on the state whether it will open relief camps, what kind of compensation, what kind of support it gives again to the victims. That this is mandatory and laid down by the law, and I think all these three things are so crucial. If they were in place, Muzaffarnagar would not have happened, Gujarat would not have happened, the 1984 violence would not have happened. Under the watch of many different governments, we've seen communal violence enabled by the state. We need to see an end to that for a better India.